how it was a sort of a rich experience musically, not, I mean, it may have been somewhat uphill commercially. And I mean, that dichotomy is something that, I mean, I would imagine creeps up a lot for the band now. And I mean, something I asked Simon, how, I mean, every time I see you guys, you seem that much more determined to do what you want to do, something that, you know, challenges you, something that interests you musically. Is it, I mean, to what extent are you basically saying, you know, commercial appeal be damned, sort of thing?
Well, we don't really think like that. If anything, the terrific success that we had has kind of set us up. It's like, you know, Steven Spielberg never has to worry about not being able to make movies. We know we're always going to be able to make records. And as long as I get that high, you know, that you know, every 18 months or whatever, you know, I can get a finished CD and feel good about it, which I do about this album, because this is the first album I've made in years, and I just can't stop playing it. It's my favorite album, and I buy a lot of albums. And if you can feel that way about what you're doing, then you know, I mean, you've got to convince yourself that you're your own most. I mean, at times I've been my own most harshest critic, and you know, we're quite discerning in what we listen to. So if we feel really good about, we're not kind of coasting, and I think that's what, you know, for the last 2 years we've been forced into doing the best we can possibly do, because if we let it slip, then, you know, it could be all over at any moment, you know, and you know, we're constantly having to push. So actually, that's why our records, they may be selling less, but they're getting so much better, you know.
And have you gotten nothing but support from EMI, from Capitol? I mean, is it, or has there been, I mean, just knowing record companies, you know, I'd imagine there's been some of that.
No, they're very supportive, actually. Yeah. And you know, they let us do pretty much what we want. You know, they're not quite as flexible as they used to be. I took Jonathan Elias's Requiem for the Americas project, you know, to EMI, and you know, in England they wouldn't put it out, you know, and well, me and Simon did, you know, and we tried to explain to them, and I know 5 years ago they'd have put it out without you know, without any question.
One would think that the nature of that project is what would sell it, rather than who's. But I guess not.
Well, yeah, they didn't think it was an English problem, you know, but that was, you know, that was how nearsighted they saw it, you know. They just couldn't see it at all.
Right. Again, with some of the more retrospective things for this special they're planning on, do you get back to Birmingham much, or?
Yeah, you know, if it's my father's birthday or something, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't really keep in touch with.
No, I'm very much in touch with the people that are important to me, you know, and you know, they'll come to see me, or, you know, I mean, telephones are quite useful things, you know.
Has it changed, the music scene there changed as much as the music scene in general in the UK seems to have in the 10 years?
Well, Birmingham's always, it doesn't turn, it's very close to London, so rather than Manchester or Glasgow, Liverpool, that through their isolation they kind of, you know, these scenes version. Birmingham, the talent that exists there really gets on the M1, Highway 1, you know, as soon as it possibly can. And there's, you know, there's stuff happening there, but it's a very transient city, actually. You know, people tend to move out of it, and it's very easy to get to London from there.
You seem, and as do the other guys, particularly in a nostalgic sort of person, interested more in getting on with what you're doing now, enthusiastic about that, and I think it completely makes sense. Do you feel at all hampered, though, about the fact that, you know, because I suppose they call the heyday of Duran was 6 years ago, that people want to always either pull you back to that, or talk about that, or compare what you're doing now to that?
No, I just, you know, it saves me paying for an analyst. You know, this is my hour on the couch today. No, sometimes it can, it has. I think we tried so hard to kind of get away from, we were very aware of this image that we had, and there was a point that we realized it was kind of working against us, and maybe in some ways we went a little too far, and we reacted against it. There were certain magazines we absolutely stopped talking to, and we stopped doing photo sessions, and we thought, well, our videos have got to look really straight, and we've got to get away from the certain kind of glamorous kind of stuff. And now, now it just doesn't matter. Now we just do what we want to do. And we're kind of like, we've gone around the block a few times.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, the new video, it seems to me, while not. How's your relationship, the three of you, changed over the years? I mean, would you say you're closer now? I mean, you were telling me before we started that you live really close to each other at the moment. Do you spend as much time together, or do you basically get together to work and that's it? Or
no, we're each other's best friends, really. And we live closer to each other than we've ever lived. We all live within about a square mile of each other in southwest London. And, yeah, I mean, we go to movies together, we go to discos, wherever, go to see bands together.
In fact, I saw, in London Fashion Week, I saw you make it the Pam Hogg show, and I was going to wave, but you were too far away.
Yeah.
We were talking also before we started about New York, and I know you used to live here and spend a lot of time here. Is the fact that you are back in London now, and I think New York tends to, for a lot of people, represent pretty reckless kind of life, kind of existence. Have you toned down the way you live in the last several years? I mean, do you not go out quite so much in clubs and things?
I go out probably, I go out as much. But I just like to hear what's going on musically, really. That's the only thing that drives me out, maybe to meet people, but at the same time I like mornings as well, kind of like daylight a lot more than I used to.
It's a difficult thing to come by if you're
nocturnal creature.
Right. Yeah. And you indulge less in some of the things that you once did?
Oh yeah.
Was it just a point where you decided to stop, or was it just a more gradual thing?
It was a gradual thing, really. I mean, you can only do so much, and just you got to. Everybody finds their own balance, what they want to do, and you set yourself challenges, and you figure that the best way to get to that point, and if that you've got to do whatever you've got to do to get there.
Yeah, would you say, are you happy with yourself now? Are you having as good a time?
Yeah.
Same things still inspire you, excite you?
Yeah. I'm just really, there's more things. I mean, I still like to sing, and I always liked good design, whether that's buildings or furniture or clothes or whatever, but music, is really what, and I think, if anything, that was, the kind of mid-80s hype that surrounded the band, almost like we lost sight for a while of where, you started to believe what people write about you, and I really, it's like a bad it's like a child, if you tell a child it's bad, after a while it starts to behave like it is. And, I kind of like our early records now, and I feel quite good about them, and for a while I thought, no, we're just like, our music is for like teenagers, whatever, but man, it sounds so good now, a lot of it, the Reflex Wildwood, from the stuff on the first album to third album.